Namaste, Uma.
Namaste, Kumarji.
Namaste. So the usual people are almost there. Let's see.
Namaste, Kumar.
Namaste, Meena. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, Meena. 6 o'clock. So let's start. Please take a deep breath. Namaste to all of you. Prabhatam, Namo Namaha, depending on where you are. See, these three ohms that we chant, I have not asked this since we started this class, nor have I explained. Hold on one second, let me put on my headset. No. Okay. The three ohms that we chant. First ohm, when you chant, you must have this deep feeling that I am only a set of vibrations. I am not this body. It is to transcend this physical body. Fully understanding that I am only a set of vibration, electromagnetic vibrations. So with that bhava, you chant the first one to transcend this body completely. When I say transcending this body, when you transcend this body, when you're saying you have this intention to transcend this body, you want to transcend all the attachments there are to this body as well. So that also should be deeply in you, all attachments, physical, mental, material, everything. So that is the intent with which you must say that first Om. The second Om, when you chant, The second Om, the intent should be that I want to transcend this entire universe. No attachments to this universe. Complete universe I am transcending. The third Om is to merge with that unmanifest divine. The deep desire to merge with the unmanifest divine. This is how you chant. Every time you chant, you must have this deep intent. Sankalpa, that's what we say. Let it not be fake, it should be real. Otherwise, it's not going to bring you anything. All right. Okay. On that note, let's move on. Last week, we just started with Sadhana Pada. We covered just the first two sutras. So here, we are actually talking about how. Can you hold on 1 second, please? I'll be right back. 1 second. My apologies. The pet was demanding attention. Sorry. Um, what we are saying in the first two sutras is the idea is to be in the state of samadhi, correct? And we saw in the sutras in 1.17, 1.18, and sutras 50 and 51 about this state of samadhi, etc. So what we are saying in Sutra 1 is 1 and 2 taken together. We are saying that Kriya Yoga, that is the yoga of action, what does it do to you? The Kriya, the active yoga is really, yoga of action is really tapaha, that is wanting to get rid of all these activations. That's the main thing for us. So being in the state of meditative awareness and doing swadhyaya, that is self-learning, and with surrender to the divine will help you to get into the state of samadhi. So, and the intention of yoga is also in the second sutra is saying is really to get into the state of samadhi. How? By realizing that this body is only a tool, an instrument to get rid of all the impurities, the kleshas that are there in us. That's what he says in Sutra 2. So we must use this body to get rid of all the kleshas. This the activations that happened to us is what we saw before we got into the state of samadhi in Sutras 50 and 51 and 18 and 17 in that order. So Sutra 1 and 2 really tells us we can get into the state of samadhi by getting into getting into Kriya Yoga, a yoga of action. And then he is following up with what are all the actions that one can do. Okay. So before he can tell you what are all the actions one can do, he's going to explain to you the kleshas, the impurities. So we'll start with any questions on this. If it is clear to you, we can move on. Okay. So in Sutra 3, Patanjali Muni says, Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abnivesha, Klesha. That's what he says. So at this point, I'm going to stop and I'm going to request Kranti to go ahead and chant from Sutra 1 through, I think, 14. Go ahead, Kranti, it's all yours.
Till 14 or 15? 14, right?
14. Hold on. 14, 14. No, 14 is fine. Yes.
योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचाम् मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिराणतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणम् सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम् श्रीमते अनन्ताय नागराजाय नमो नमः। अथ साधनपादः तपः स्वाध्याय ईश्वरप्रणिधानानि क्रियायोगः समाधिभावनार्थः क्लेशतनूकरणार्थश्च अविद्या अस्मिता राग द्वेष अभिनिवेशाः क्लेशाः अविद्या क्षेत्रम् उत्तरेषां प्रसुप्त तनु विच्छिन्न उदाराणाम् अनित्य अशुचि दुःख अनात्मसु नित्य शुचि सुख आत्मख्यातिः अविद्या दृग्दर्शनशक्त्योः एकात्मता इव अस्मिता सुखानुशयी रागः दुःखानुशयी द्वेषः वरसवाही विदुषोऽपि समारूढः अभिनिवेशः ते प्रतिप्रसवहेयाः सूक्ष्माः ध्यानहेयाः तत्वृत्तयः क्लेशमूलः कर्माशयो दृष्टादृष्टजन्म वेदनीयः सति मूले तद्विपाको जात्यायुर्भोगाः ते लादपरितापफलाः पुण्या पुण्यहेतुत्वात्.
Thank you, Kranti. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, the Sutra 2.3 says the 5 impurities that needs cleansing. So, the 5 impurities are avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abnivesha. So that's what it says: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abnivesha, kleshaha. Klesha is singular, kleshaha is plural. Here, avidya. Avidya is number 1, that stands number 1. That is given top priority here, so it's stated as it's stated front, avidya. This is what we said the other day, last Sunday, that avidya is not about knowing about finance, about engineering, about science, physics, etc. But it is the higher knowledge of higher dimension. That is, why am I here? What am I doing here? There are so many deaths and births. Am I disturbed by all that? Or do I understand why they are taking place? All that. So that is the vidya that we are talking about, or the lack of that, which is avidya. Asmita is the sense of being as avidya. Asmita is being able to be a pure and true observer, where you can get fully engrossed in what you are seeing or what you are imagining or whatever it is. Raga dvesha. Raga means likes or desires. Dvesha is aversions, things that you don't like. Abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is really means you as an actor. Vesha. In Tamil we say Vesham, right? Vesha. That is, you are wearing a costume or something like that to show that you are something else. What is that something else here? Abhinivesha means you are acting as if you are the doer of the things. Don't you say that I have to do this? I can tell you one example here. Way back when I was working in India, there was I was a hardware engineer, and there was a new computer that was installed. Although I was trained on that computer, I was not part of the installation. There was another friend of mine, an engineer, who installed that machine. And after many months, I came to know there was one feature that was disabled because it did not work. And so instead of the hardware doing that feature, they let the software do it. So when it is done like that, it is very inefficient. Software is quite inefficient compared to hardware. Hardware can do it maybe 20, 30 times faster than software. So this was there for a while. Only after 6 to 8 months, I came to know of it. And then after a year, the customer started pounding on the management, saying, we have used this in other similar machines, and it doesn't take so much of time, but here it takes a lot of time. And we know that there is something wrong. So finally, the company had to admit, yeah, this is what happened, and we will fix it. But the other engineer and myself, we were the only two who were trained. The other fellow did not know how to fix it. So then he said, Kumar, we need to fix this. And then because this came up to the management, his manager walked up to me and he said, Kumar, can we have this fixed? So I said, yes, why not? We can. I'll go take a look at it. So the manager finally, he said one Saturday when the workload was not that much, we went there to fix it. Yeah, it took less than an hour and a half for me to fix it. So the entire problem solving was done by me. Okay. So I came back very happy and all that. That's not the point. The point is, for many number of years, I was thinking that I was the one who fixed it. Yeah, physically, yes. But if you look at it was a very complicated problem, a very complicated hardware logic problem. And I was I was able to fix it because just prior to that, a few months prior to that, I finished my thesis in my master's in engineering, and I had learned some software algorithm called floating point arithmetic, and that's exactly what was failing here. So first of all, one needed to have the theory, understanding of the theory. That is why we are spending so much of time in understanding this theory of life, with the Patanjali Muni has given us. So that training, that learning happened maybe 6 to 8 months or 1 year prior to that, 6 to 8 months prior to that. And then this problem came to me on a golden plate to be fixed. See how in the divine way of things, in the cosmic way of things, how things move. First, I am being educated and trained, and then the problem is being presented to me saying, Kumar, go and fix this. Is there any way that I should take recognition and seek recognition for this? One will seek recognition as long as one thinks that they are the doer. I fixed the problem. It was my intelligence which fixed the problem. It is my understanding. When that is there, then we are in the state of abnivesha. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes, Kumarji.
We do this from very small things at home to very big things at home, at outside, at work, everywhere. Please pay attention to this.
Yes.
So we have seen all these 5 impurities: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abniveshana. So in traditional scriptures, in the Vedic text, these five impurities are bundled into 3. We call it as buddhi, manas, and ahankara.
And Hankar.
Manas, buddhi, and ahankara. This is what we call. In all the Vedic texts, it is stated in 3. Patanjali Muni has gone and made it into 5 to make us understand it even better. So how do we take the 3 and map it to these 5, or take these 5 and map it to those 3? So the avidya, or the lack of vidya, is really buddhi.
Buddhi.
Okay, so that's how we map it. Raga, dvesha,
Hankar.
desires and aversions, dislikes, likes and dislikes. So this is the ahankara part. Asmita and raga, dvesha is the manas part, not the ahankara part. It is the manas part, because the function of the mind is to classify everything as good and bad. Please see this very clearly in what you do every day. That is what it will do. It is a beautiful flower, it will say. It is not so beautiful, it will say. So if it is a beautiful flower, when you eat something, you say, I like this. When you otherwise you'll say, I don't like this, right? So the purpose of the mind is to classify everything as good and bad. So that's all it does. The ahankara part is really the sense of being an observer and the sense of being a doer. That is where the ahankara part comes in. It is both. Sense of being an observer, which is where we want to be. Think of it, or think of all these things as programs. These are all programs, these are all software things that are there. We have come with this bundle of software. Avidya is one bundle of software, asmita is another bundle of software, but they are all put together and we have come with a big bundle of software. So I also want to clarify here, many months back, Shobana asked me, she was asking me about mind. If I remember right, she was asking me, is mind the same as soul or something like that? Or she was asking me, is mind the same as chitta? That's what I remember. I recall it now, yes. So that's why I'm spending a lot more time here to make. At that time, I told her, for now, take mind as chitta, or take mind as the thoughts that emanate from it. Now we know, now we have come to a point where we can clearly understand what mind means is just that fact, that piece of software which classifies everything into good and bad. All the rest of the things, when I say including the mind, all put together, I mean all the 5 impurities put together and the activations, everything put together is the chitta. So chitta is the superset, and mind is the subset in that superset. You all remember Venn diagram?
Yes.
No? So make one big circle and then one smaller circle. So the smaller circle is the mind with raga and dvesha. The bigger circle is the chitta with all these 5, the activations, everything, all the programs. With me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then Patanjali Muni goes on to describe each one of them, like how he did for the chitta vrittis, right? In chapter 1, he did define, he gave the 5 chitta vrittis. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Pramana, Vikalpa, Viparyaya, then Nidra,
Tra, Smriti.
Smriti.
Smritya.
Yeah, all those 5 he defined. And then he defined each one of them. He gave definition. So he's very fond of giving definitions because to make it very clear, he defines each one of them. So he's going to do the same thing here with these impurities. What are these impurities going to do? What are these impurities? What do they do? We saw the chitta vrittis, the activations. They are also programs. They are sitting there. They are just dormant. Okay. So those have to be triggered. Only then they will act. The trigger to those programs to work comes from these impurities. The kleshas are the one which make the activations, which enable the activations. So once the activations happen, and since we identify ourselves with the activations, we react. We do some stupid things. Yeah, we yell at people. We say harsh words at people. Things of that nature. We become jealous. We become greedy. All that are reactions to the activations. So activations by them, everything is a program. Please understand this. Everything is a program. And these programs drive the different indriyas, the organs, the sense organs, the other organs in the body. So if somebody is there and you get angry, you slap. Where is it coming from? It is coming from an activation. So one has to become the controller of these activations. That's what we saw in the second sutra in chapter 1. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. That's what we said. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now he is defining avidya. Avidya
Excuse me,
kshetram.
Kumarji.
Yes,
Excuse me. I have a question on Asmita.
yes.
Like, it was considered to be essential for being in the state of yoga, right? You have to be an experiencer.
Correct.
Then why is it classified as impurity?
Very good question. So this is the question I had when I went through this class, and I bugged Dr. Narayanan for in many classes I would ask this question. Finally, he told me, Kumar, don't think of it as, although it is put as impurities. When Patanjali Muni wrote this, there was no concept of programs, right?
Right.
No, just take it as a unit of a program. Just a program. There's another piece of program. Ahankara is made of 2 parts, and one being an observer, just like raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. So an observer part is there, a doer part is there. It's just a piece of program. See, in the higher scheme of things, there is nothing like purity, no purity, etc. That's what I'm saying. That's what you have to understand.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So all these things which cause unwanted chitta vrittis, they all will be put to lock. That's what we saw in Sutra 50 and 51. Pratibandhi, we said. So all these various things will be locked down, which will allow just the asmita alone to work. Otherwise, the asmita program is not strong enough to to suppress the other things. The sense of
Does
being,
it, sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
does it mean that we have to let go of being an asmita too? Like there should be nothing at all in our mind. Like first we
No,
let
when
go of
all
being a
these,
doer. We should let go of the ownership, taking ownership or being the doer, right? And then
that is the abnivesha.
just observe.
Yes.
And also we should let go of being an observer.
See, when the idea is to be in the state of an observer, that is the only state you want to be. That is the state in which the unmanifest divine is. The unmanifest divine is just being an observer. That's all. The unmanifest divine is not commenting. The unmanifest divine is not classifying things into good and bad.
Then
The unmanifest
Klesha,
divine is not saying I am the doer. Nothing it is doing. It is just being an observer. When something needs to be done, the unmanifest divine will do.
but then klesha is something that we have to get rid of. Then asmita also we have to get rid of.
No. See, that's what I'm saying. When we say get rid of, we are not going to get rid of anything, correct?
Correct.
It is going to, it has to happen through the sadhana.
Right.
So as we become more and more and more aware, what happens? We saw that some of these programs will be locked and will not be allowed to function. You have to understand all this as pieces of programs all over. Think of it as a mustard. Okay, think of it as mustard.
Mm-hmm.
You take 1 spoonful of mustard and you put it in oil. What happens? Nothing happens.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
So when that oil heats up, then they begin to pop.
Mm-hmm.
So that oil heating is actually the kleshas. And then these mustards start popping. All these activations, they start working. They become active here and there. Asmita is the state in which you want to be. If it helps you, you can remove. For now, you can even think of Asmita is not part of this, which I don't want to say, but as you go along, you will understand.
Okay.
For now, think of it as a program, that's all. And as the other kleshas die down and the activations cool down, we will be in a state of Asmita all the time.
Okay.
So why he is saying this as impurity is we have been given all these things when we were born. We will see this as we go along. So just wait for some time.
Okay.
I had this question for a long time. So I'm happy you asked this question. Shall we move on to the next sutra?
Yes, Kumarji.
Avidya kshetram. Avidya we know. The lack of vidya is avidya. Kshetram. Kshetram is location, place. Uttaresham. Where is it located? Where is avidya located? Uttaresham. Uttara means higher, on top. On top of what? Esham. Esham. Esham means the other four. It is on top of the other four. He says hierarchically, avidya is on the top of all these 5 kleshas. It is the number 1 mischief maker. And how does it exist? It exists as prasupta tanu vichinna udaranam. Udaranam means fully active. Avidya can be fully active, very, very strongly active. Or vichinna, it could be broken up, bits and pieces. Tanu, it could be weak. Prasupta, it could be dormant. In all these different ways, the avidya exists. That's what he is saying.
What is Uddaranam?
Uddarana means fully active, very, very active. That is, avidya is very active. The more active avidya is, the more reactive the person is going to be, correct?
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
it is feeding, it is constantly feeding all the activations. And as the activations get energized, they are going to cause reactivity. So think of it this way. Udarana, when it is fully active, when it is fully active, you are fighting with life all the time. You don't like this, you don't like that person, you don't like this person, you're finding fault here, you're finding fault there. Whatever comes to you, either you like too much and you jump, or you completely dislike it. How people take sides in political battles. When an election is happening, I see this. When you go just before election time, if you go to somebody's place, and if it is a you go there because they invited you for Navaratri, and that is the time. Within a few months, December, the elections are going to come, the presidential elections. The two parties, the Republican Party and there will be a Democratic Party people, and they will come to blows literally. Have you seen this? That is how active it will be when the avidya is very high.
Mm.
So you are fighting all the time, you are fighting with life. When it is broken up, in which case you seem to be sensible sometimes, and at other times you are not. Which means at other times you may get carried away by what is happening. You may also jump into this political battle with your friends. I once went to some friend's house. This happened maybe 10 years back or whatever. And I saw this fight between there are 3 or 4 of them who are Democrats and the other 3 or 4 were Republicans. They were about to come to blows. And these are very good friends. And to quieten them down, I asked one of them, I said, I don't understand this part, which one of these parties is saying. Can you explain what it is? And then one of them, the way they started, I got scared. I've never seen that person reacting so wildly. So that was a lesson to me. After that, I never go anywhere near people when the election time comes. I stay away from all those people. If there's some discussion is going on, I will stay away from that area. Once the discussion, everything cools down and the people are ready to eat, even while eating, it will come up. Anyway, so that's what will happen. So it is weak at certain times, and if it is broken, sometimes you'll be sensible, sometimes you will not. When it is weak, at certain times it is weak, which means you get affected by it when it is weak, by it, but not as seriously as when it is fully active. When it is fully active, you are affected by it all the time. When it is weak, you are not affected that much. Here and there you get affected. You get affected, but you don't react so wildly when it is weak. When it is subtly dormant, you may sometimes feel intuitively connected to the unmanifest divine. You may receive some messages and things like that. And at other times you may not, because you are still, it has not fully gone away from you. It is dormant, that's all. Does not mean it has gone away. So that's what he's saying. This avidya works in that kind of a domain. With me?
Yes, Kumar.
Okay. So what else does avidya do? So we have now seen what avidya is. What else does avidya do? Anitya ashuchi dukkha anatmasu nitya shuchi sukha atma kyatihi avidya. Kyatihi means understanding. How do you understand avidya? He says, this is how you understand avidya. Anitya. Anitya means the first word. Anitya means impermanent, something which is not permanent, impermanent. Ashuchi means impure, that which is not clean, which is not pure. Dukkha means misery, sorrow, sadness. Anatmasu means that which is not integral to you, which is not soulful to you. Sometimes we say that, right? Internally, I don't feel happy doing this job, but still I do this because I need the money, because survival becomes the important thing to us. So, how do you understand avidya? Kyatihi avidya. How do you understand avidya? This is how you understand avidya. Anitya, ashuchi, dukkha, anatmasu appears, all these four appear as nitya, shuchi, sukha, atma. That is impermanent. Anitya appears to be nitya, appears to be permanent. When you have avidya, impermanent things appear to be permanent. How? When you are young, when I was 25, 26, I mean, all of us, I'm sure, we all thought that will never grow old. Or even if we grow old, we will, our hair will be always black. And I thought I will never lose hair because I had so much of hair. I'm giving very gross examples, but all these and I will never have pain in the body, because we hear elderly people at the time saying, oh, I have pain in the knee, I have pain in the foot, I have pain in the arm, I have pain here, I have pain in the back, all these things. So you think, oh, I will have none of it. Right?
Yes.
So all these impermanent things we think as permanent. Ashuchi, all Impure things we think as pure. Misery, we think misery as given, as something is, we think of it as sukha. What is misery? Attachment is misery. All of you having children and grandchildren, that attachment brings misery. But we think of it as great
Happiness.
joy and happiness. Today, my other elder sister has not joined. Her daughter and grandson who were there until this morning left. They went back to their home, and my elder sister is sick, has developed throat pain. But we can always say reasons. No, the climate change, this change, that change. But deep inside, there is some disturbance. This is what it needs to be seen. You understand, Meena?
Yes.
This is for my other sister, but she's not here. She did not join. She sent me a note saying that I'm having sore throat and I'm not feeling well. So this is what happens. Anatmasu. Anatmasu. Yes.
Can you give example for asuchi?
Asuchi is anything that is not clean, but that is impure. We think of it as pure. That is what asuchi is.
Yeah, that's the definition you told.
Yes. So take for example, in our spiritual, in our quest to understand about us, we are learning from so many texts, so many things are there, right? Not everything is pure, but we consider them as pure. That comes from our avidya. When that avidya leaves us, when that veil over the vidya leaves us, then we will be able to see that impurity. But we must be ready to let go of that. I mean, ready to tear off that veil. You understand?
Okay.
No, okay is not good enough. You have to say, I understand, or I don't understand.
Probably I think I need some other example.
No, this example you did not understand. Tomorrow, let us say I write a book. I write a book in a state where I have only 10% of understanding of life. How truthful will that be? I will be writing it based on my avidya, correct?
Avidya.
And then people who have avidya will read it and think that is truth. See, there was an article that was published, and there was a forwarded message which Uma sent me about Sudha Murthy. I sent it to you as second assignment. Many of you have not done that assignment, but if you carefully read that, then you will understand how much of avidya is there in that. Uma understood. I had a big back and forth with her. That's why I told her you don't have to do that assignment. Kriya, I didn't receive that assignment from you. Quite a few of you have not submitted that. I mean, people probably here or people who have not joined have not submitted it. So that comes from that avidya. When you are in that avidya, people who are reading that, Sudha Murthy, I do not know if you read that message at all. It seems beautiful, right? When you read it, it seems very attractive and very beautiful. Yes, Uma?
Yes,
Yes.
Kumarji. Yeah.
It is very appealing.
It appears to be, it is truth.
Huh?
It appears to be truth.
Yes, it
Truth of
appears to
life.
be. It appears to be true because because we are seeing it from our avidya.
So the thoughts of avidya is called impurity.
The thoughts.
Of avidya, the act, whatever the avidya we have can be considered.
Causes these kinds of things. Yes,
Okay.
yes. It will accept the impurity as pure. What I'm saying is, if you have vidya, even if somebody is stating impurity as pure, even if somebody is stating impure things as pure, your vidya, if you have vidya, you will see it as impure. You will not just swallow it and say, oh, Sudhamurti is a great person. She will only put what is right. She's a very educated, highly educated person. She's involved in all kinds of non-profit activities. A very big philanthropist. A very great person, no doubt. You can be a great person, but you can still have a lot of avidya.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the definition of avidya. That it will make you think of all impermanent things as permanent, impure things as pure, sorrow as happiness, and non-soulful things as soulful. Anatmasu. You don't feel that it is the right thing for you to do, but you still do it. That means you're killing your spirit. That is where we say we put survival ahead of our deep feeling. So I think it is time to close. So I will close here, and then we will go on to other parts of the kleshas next Sunday. With me?
Yes, Kumarji. Thank you.
Any quick question I can answer? 1 minute before I leave. So you must map all these things to yourself and see. Understand this deeply. You must reflect. Vitarka vichara. This you have to do. Questioning within yourself and reflecting on it to get an answer. This constantly you must do the next 7 days until we have the next class. Or in between, certainly you can ask me also. No doubt about that. But you have to do that. But it is a good question Priya was asking about what she has not understood.
I read only Pasrams Kumarji. I don't read any other texts or anything. It's pure or impure that I left it to God, but that's the form of bhakti yoga that Alvars gave. So just for another, just for adding your to something, the statement you told, you are reading several texts.
No, I gave it as an example. I didn't mean you. I'm saying in general. When I say you, I didn't really mean you. So even I'm saying, even in Pasuram, there may be many portions of it which may not be the truth. I've told you this too. You have to have an open mind to accept it.
That's a form. So far, we have to accept. I do not know whether it is. I'm not in the position that it is right or wrong or pure or impure, because just now I'm learning.
Correct.
So learning Patanjali yoga as well as bhakti yoga. So I don't have a rights to tell which is right or wrong. I'm just reading.
No, there is nothing called Patanjali yoga. Patanjali is describing. We also saw that he described bhakti yoga. How he described bhakti yoga, we saw in chapter 1. About 10 sutras he has given. Correct? about Ishvara and all that.
Yeah, that's in Pasurams also, how you have to see the Ishvara, that is also represented. In many ways, it is similar. It is not a.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything against person. I'm saying in many of these texts, there will be portions which are not truthful. We must have that vidya to understand. That's all I'm saying.
That Vidya only comes from unmanifested with divine, which is Vidya and which is Avidya. So I'm reading it.
Yes, only you will get it only when there is divine connectivity. Yes. Only when you get the divine connectivity, you will be able to understand. That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, let's stop here. It's already 7 o'clock. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste, Kumarji. Thank you.
Thank you.